Last time, I well and truly suffered my way through Death Valley. And honestly, if I'd known just how severe the winds were going to be, I probably wouldn't have chosen to ride through it. But as it was, I arrived out the other side 3 days later, tired, dusty, and sand-battered, but triumphant. And excitingly, I only had 100 miles left to pedal until I reached the desert oasis that is Las Vegas.
I'm riding on a one-man wheel, powered with some built analog 36-inch unicycle across the USA. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna get myself into, yeah.
My name's Ed, and I'm riding a unicycle around the world. Join me on this series as I attempt to cycle 4,000 miles across the United States of America. Nevada, the driest state in the USA. The previous evening, I'd bid farewell to California and crossed over the state line. Because of the very dry air here, even though it's warm during the day, the temperature plummets rapidly after sunset, an effect I felt in full force during my first night camping here.
Oh my! That was a cold night last night. I'm literally wearing every single item of clothing that I own, and I was still cold. Vegas day today. Gonna ride into Vegas, which is quite exciting. I'm looking forward to a few days off. I'm staying with a guy called Kevin, so very much looking forward to having a shower, because I haven't washed for about a week. Death Valley really took it out of me. So, gonna get up. Sun's just come up, so I'm actually starting to warm up now. And then we're gonna start our ride up and over a mountain to Vegas. It's exciting stuff.
When you find yourself idle or stagnant, it's important that you move from place to place. But if your knees start buckling, your stomach starts rustling, your ankles all swell. Hell, well, I've been like that too, man. And here's what I do. Yeah. Bring it down to the only mountain top.
It's the last hill, the final hill. Come on, Ed. Viva Las Vegas.
From the summit, I got my first glimpse of the Vegas skyline. I descended into Red Rock Canyon, closing in on Kevin's house. And after a week of very hard-fought miles, I was pretty excited about the prospect of rest. Kevin had been following my journey online, and when he discovered I'd be passing through, invited me to stay with him and his wife, Sue. They made me feel incredibly welcome, and after a day of catching up on sleep, that evening we drove into the heart of Las Vegas. Kevin and Sue have brought me down to downtown Las Vegas today. In the car, Sue, you were saying that you wanted to see some weirdos.
Yes, I'm hoping that we see lots of weirdos. There usually are weirdos on Fremont Street.
What kind of weirdos are you hoping to see?
They wear, well, hopefully we see lots of people in interesting costumes.
Interesting might not have been the word that I'd have used, but Sue certainly got her wish. I wandered around a little, trying to take in the sensory overload that is Fremont Street. I paid this man $1 to dance? It's a very strange world we live in, isn't it? And then I headed off in search of a casino. As you can imagine, they weren't difficult to find. Now, I'm not usually one to gamble, but while in the gambling mecca of the world, I felt it pretty rude not to at least part with a little bit of cash. Unsurprisingly, the $50 I put down on the craps table disappeared in minutes, and I was still none the wiser of the rules. I did bring my unicycle, but after seeing the hectic state of the roads, I chickened out riding down the main strip, and decided instead just to cycle around the Vegas sign. I know it's surprising, but I do have some self-preservation. As much as I enjoyed exploring downtown Vegas and meeting the colourful characters that inhabited it, once was certainly enough. And the next morning, I entered the domain where I felt a lot more comfortable. Kevin and I awoke early to explore the incredible rock formation that was right on his doorstep, Red Rock Canyon. So where are you taking me today, Kevin?
Calico Basin.
Okay.
So about 15 miles west of downtown Las Vegas.
Yeah. And what's special about this place?
Just rock formations, lots of places to hike, place to get away from the city. And the weird thing is sometimes they're like holes and sometimes they're bumps. It's like you can...
How are they made? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Because I've been seeing it's like the wall's got chicken pox or something.
Yeah, yes, exactly right.
I later found out that these red spots, known as mocky marbles, were small deposits of iron, and that when oxidised form the reddish-brown colour. The high concentration of mineral iron throughout this area is the reason this part of the country has its stereotypical red hue. Soon it was time to leave this oasis, and due to Kevin and Sue's hospitality, I pedalled away from Vegas, well rested and mentally refreshed for the final desert section that lay ahead. Thank you everyone that's decided to support me on Patreon, and I want to say a particularly big thank you to Adam Fink, Alex Brito, Alex Lee, Annabelle Miley, Axel Fontaine, Carrie Cleland, Damon Walker, Elijah Legender, Jeff and Kelly Elder, James Little, Kintaro Sakino, Andrew Thomas, Kelly Jackson, Malvin Zen, Mario, Mark Paris, Derek Donovan, Mike Foxwell, Stephen Jones, Thin Seller, Tommy Nurmazjavi, Warren Snyder, and Weston Hawkins. A lot of you this week. Thank you very much for supporting me. Now back to the video. Woo. Left Vegas now, on my way to the Hoover Dam, and ultimately I'm on my way to the Grand Canyon, but it'll take me about a week to get there, whereas the Hoover Dam is about, I don't know, a mile or two up this road. I guess road trains don't only exist in Australia. Oh, this is so cool! I figured I couldn't go out of my way to go to the Hoover Dam without cycling across it, so that's what I'm doing now. I usually try and avoid busy tourist spots, but I'm very glad I made the effort to see this one. Standing on the 80-year-old dam, peering down into the Colorado River, 700 feet below, felt very special. Obviously, you can't turn up on a unicycle anywhere touristy and not generate a little bit of attention, so I stopped to chat with a handful of families holidaying in the area.
Did you boys see his unicycle?
Which direction are you going right now?
I'm in the east, so I'm finishing in New York in the States, and that's pretty much the end of my trip.
Great.
It's exciting because I've been at it for like 3 years, so
wow.
I'm almost done.
Wow.
This kid seemed actively determined to throw himself into the Colorado River.
Emergency water comes
Great.
out.
Well,
Yeah, sorry about that, people there on TV.
and this guy was extremely proud of his name.
I'm Michael Jackson.
Michael,
How about that, huh?
that's a
So
problem,
you
isn't
came
it?
to America and you met Michael Jackson.
And I thought Pratt was unfortunate. Carrying on to the opposite bank, I crossed into the third state of my ride, Arizona. Motivated by the feeling of progress that always comes with crossing borders, I excitedly pedaled into this new state. It was during these first few miles of Arizona that I had a bit of a mishap. Distracted by the gorgeous mountains on either side, my attention drifted from the road, my wheel hit a pothole, my feet were knocked off the pedals, and I was thrown off the unicycle onto the unforgiving tarmac below. Oh man. It doesn't look too bad. I've just taken the boot off. It doesn't look too bad. It hasn't like turned black and blue or anything. So I'm hoping that it doesn't really come to anything. But anyway, need to keep moving because that really is the only option here. But I think it's all right. It's just a little bit painful. Stupid boy. With a sharp pain now pulsing through my ankle every single pedal stroke, I limped onwards.
Ow, 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 ow.
And as light faded, I was more than happy to call it a day and find somewhere to rest up for the night. The campsite I found wasn't exactly the most picturesque, but in the circumstances, it would suit me just fine.
Guten Morgen. my boot doesn't. My foot, left foot, doesn't feel all that good. Twisted it yesterday. It's now kind of swelled up a little bit. I can walk on it just about, which means I should be able to ride on it, but it's not going to be comfortable.
If I'd had the choice of which ankle I busted, it certainly wouldn't have been my left. This is because in order to mount my unicycle, I position my right foot on its pedal, then push off hard with my left, hoping I've jumped high enough to shift the luggage weight up and over the wheel. This can be a tough move to perform, even with a healthy foot, so I knew mounting with a sprained ankle the next morning was going to be a real struggle. And it really didn't help that I found myself on a pretty major trunk road with a loose gravel hard shoulder.
Ah! Fuck! Fuck!
This, unfortunately, is where I'm leaving you for this episode, shouting and swearing on a pretty unpleasant section of Arizonan highway. Tune in next week to see if I ever do manage to remount my unicycle. If you're feeling impatient and can't wait for next week's video, you're in luck, because the next episode is available right now on my Patreon. And if you're feeling really impatient, you can head over to Vimeo and watch the entire Ed Unicycles the USA series from start to finish over there. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Well, this old thing ain't built for speed, but I love my trusty dusty steed. It'll get me around the world soon, then I'll try a full moon. I know my route is roundabout, but I sure as hell don't have a doubt. It'll get me where I'm going, as long as the wind is blowing. I'm well aware of dangers out there, and it's not that I don't